Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
What are the creepiest experiences that you guys have had in the woods?
The spookiest thing that ever happened to me actually happened just a month or so ago. B-27, about to immigrate from the US to Europe, going backpacking one last time with a work friend. Decide to do 40 miles in West Virginia cranberry wilderness. Drive from West Ohio to there after work on Friday. Get there around 2100. The road is suspiciously gated off about 5 miles from the trailhead. Whatever, let's hoof it. Let me interject here that Cranberry Wilderness is one of the creepiest places I had ever backpacked before this, so I was already a little spooked. I had never done the northern section before though, so this area was new to me. We start hiking in, both very paranoid and creeped out. Walk around a bend in the road and something strange from a distance. I had just watched I Am Legend, and so alarms were instantly going off. Pull out my handgun and approach it cautiously. Not a booby trap, just a huge hole in the road that someone had planted a stick in. Keep hiking, see lots of shotgun holes and signs, common in West Virginia. At one point a car comes up the road at us and we fly into the woods along the side. The Jeep slows down next to where we were hiding. We're both totally confused at how it even got there since the road was blocked off. It slows down to an idle right next to us, then drives off after maybe 30 seconds. Wait a minute before getting back on the road. Keep hiking up the road, see that it has fallen to shit and been washed out in several places. We now know why it was gated off. Keep hiking until we reach the trailhead. We still had 5 miles to do tonight, and it was already 22:30. At the trailhead is a campground of sorts. 5 sites that are maintained by the Forest Service. One of these sites has a fire blazing in it. No people though. I have my buddy watch my bag while I do circles around the site, looking for tracks. I only see some shoe prints around the fire pit, nowhere else. I have been tracking for almost 20 years now, so I know what I am doing. Really strange since there were no vehicles, no way for vehicles to get there with all the gates, and no other tracks coming from back up the trail. Decided to leave it be, but it really was one of the creepiest things I've seen in the woods. Not sure why, really. Hike about 2.5 more miles before calling it quits at a river fork. Pitch our hammocks and anchor our tarps to each other for support, since there was a massive storm expected for the whole weekend. Eat dinner and in bed by 0:30 hours. Less than 2 hours later, the storm hits pretty hard. Wakes me up and I lay there just listening to the soothing sounds. I absolutely love thunderstorms. Maybe a half hour later, I hear branches breaking over the sound of the rain. I go about half alert mode, but grab my handgun just in case. Silent for a bit after that. Right after I put it away again, I hear a large crash as if a nearby tree was broken in two. Full alert. I know it was probably caused by the storm or something, but get out and check regardless. Standing in the rain with my 1000 lumen torch, I quickly sweep the immediate area, but do not see anything. Buddy sleeps with earplugs and is a heavy sleeper to boot, so he does not even wake. Finally climb back in my hammock and after some difficulty fall asleep. Friend always is the first to wake. He comes and shakes my hammock to wake me yelling, "Grab my gun. What the fuck are you talking about?" I only really heard the word bear in my sleep haze. Jump out of the hammock and follow him into the forest. We got to the area where we had hung our bear bags, and the tree he had hung his from had claw marks all the way up to the branch he had slung it over. The branch had been ripped right off. His food bag was nowhere to be found. Thankful that it was his and not mine because I always overpack on food and he always underpacks. I offered him some of my extra meals. Take mine down and head back to camp, pack up, and hit the trail. Maybe a quarter mile down the trail, we come across these really nice permanent campsites that we could have stayed at. Sitting in the middle of one is what is left of his food bag, trash thrown everywhere. Now, I had always been under the impression that when bears get a hold of food, they stop and eat it there, not carry it away. At least I figured that was the rationale behind throwing them your food to distract them in a confrontation. So back to being creeped out again. One of the reasons this place is always so spooky is because of the thick canopy, which makes it really dark on the trail, and because there always seems to be intense fog. This day was no exception. My buddy always leads and I always bring up the rear whenever we go out, whoever we go out with. This day, the fog was so thick that he would disappear every few minutes in front of me. I recorded it on my GoPro and the footage afterwards was pretty neat. Continue hiking. Most of the morning was uneventful, except for the fog stuff. As we were nearing the summit of the mountain we were climbing, grab my hiking poles off the tree they were leaning on and start around the corner after him. As soon as I do, I see him standing there stock still with his face very intent back the way we had come. Bear. I grab my air horn and throw it to him and unholster my gun while spinning around and looking wildly everywhere. Where? Then I see it. The damn thing comes flying down the tree I had literally just had my hiking poles leaning against. Now I have been hiking my entire life and seen dozens of bears all over Canada and the US, especially black bears, but I had never seen one in a tree before. Excuse me, one this big in a tree before. The thing was easily chest high and probably 250 to 300 pounds, but the damn thing came flying down that tree like a fireman's pole. Wait for the bear to follow us around the corner while friend is using the air horn. Hear the bear running back down the mountainside. Once we judge it is clear, we keep moving on. Right after this, the temperature plummets and it starts raining. The fog still does not let up at all. Start getting lost because the trail is so scarcely used and overgrown. Not precisely overgrown, but everything looks the same. The ground looks the same in every direction because the canopy killed off all the underbrush. Maybe poorly defined is what I am looking for. I take over as the lead since I have more experience tracking than he does. Make our way to the backside of the mountain. At one point, he nearly stepped on a quail and scared the shit out of both of us. Come across a meadow. Now the rain really starts up. Finally put on my rain jacket, and when I go to put my pack back on, notice a shoe that is definitely not mine on the ground. Dude, is that your shoe? Even before his response, I knew what it would be. We are both very experienced backpackers, and neither of us would bring street shoes like that on the trail. Go back to half alert mode, scan the trees while we continue to hike. A couple miles later, we come across an abandoned tent. Literally looks like someone had smashed it and left. All the poles were busted in half. It was flattened and had muddy shoe prints all over the outside of it. We look at each other and agree to start hiking faster. We already have a pretty blistering pace. We average 2.5 to 3 miles per hour in the Appalachians. Over the course of the next probably 5 miles, we see an abandoned tarp, probably the biggest tarp I had ever seen, really. Several more abandoned shoes, abandoned clothes, and finally an abandoned backpack. We are both freaked out after the third shoe we found. Like I said, this trail barely gets any use during the summer, let alone the end of winter. And after 2 days, we still have not seen a soul. Anyways, we hike another 7 miles after the last discarded shirt we see before we judge it safe to camp. We had hiked around 20 miles in the rain that day, and were exhausted physically and a bit mentally from whatever had happened in the woods earlier. We set up camp next to this beautiful waterfall. There were 3 campsites that other campers had left behind, so we took the one with the best view. The rain finally stopped once we had finished setting up our hammocks. Decide to build a fire tonight to dry out. Go to the furthest campsite. Did not want to cook dinner near our site after what had happened the night before. And build a fire. Collect a shitload of firewood because I would like to stay up late tonight. We go through all the food I have left except a couple of Cliff Bars for breakfast and some ramen for lunch tomorrow. sitting back enjoying the warmth and drying out when I start seeing eyes watching us from the woods. Dude, what the fuck is that? They disappear for a bit. They come back. Next thing we know, this goddamn deer comes into our camp and just starts walking around us, not going away. At this point, I've gone full paranoid. Dude, what if it is distracting us while something fucks with our stuff back at camp? Obviously, this is a dumb idea, but just in case. Head back to our campsite and verify everything is still good. When I come back, the deer still has not left. The goddamn thing just kept circling our fire until we dosed it around midnight. We hung up my food bag and headed to bed. I did not really sleep that night because I was so paranoid. The next day was uneventful hiking out. I gotta say the road shit was a lot less creepy in the daylight than it was in the dark. Sorry if you were expecting some creepy pasta because it was so long, but it was 100% true. All the creepy shit that kept happening just added up by the end. I think all the abandoned stuff made me so paranoid because I used to do shit like that when I was younger. Go out to campsites and do shit just to scare the fuck out of campers or dress up in costumes and scare them, for the lulz of course. But it is precisely why I never go to West Virginia unarmed. That said, I would highly recommend Cranberry Wilderness for anyone who lives on the East Coast. Plan a route on the south side, it is my favorite.
Not truly Innawoods there, but it was in rural America and creeps me out, so here it goes. 2004 or 2005. Iraq and Afghanistan war plus terrorism is all there is on the news. Be me, 10 years old. In my childhood home, woods went back like 2 miles. No one owns the woods, but I consider it mine. Suddenly, a huge McMansion is built in the woods. About 10 Arab men move in. Parents sit me down and tell me not to stereotype before I even say anything. One day, walking in the woods, loads of Department of Homeland Security trucks outside the house. Turns out they were members of the Taliban and got caught ordering bomb parts. Run back to tell my older brother. He tells me he already knows, and that he has a surprise for me. Later that night, he wakes me up and puts pic related on my lap. We walk to the terrorist's house. Arab scripture all over the walls. Gold-plated everything. The largest room in the house is a library. Tons of Arabic books and prayer rugs all over the floor. Books all over the wall. Get scared and leave the house. The house was cleared out and just remained empty until I moved. It was odd for such a nice house to be in the middle of nowhere. I think the terrorists bought it and didn't really think about the location. In hindsight, it was really dumb of us to walk inside the house because we left our DNA everywhere. Still one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Be around 16. Stepsisters want to walk the dogs in the dark. I think it is a dumb idea, but nobody else seems to give a shit. Decide to go with them so they do not lose my dog or get murdered. Drive up onto hills. Start walking through the wooded area towards one of the highest points, right near a couple of supposedly haunted areas. They start jumping at every owl call, or just the dog running past them. Starts to wear on me and puts me on edge after a while. I almost walk into a boulder because I am too busy looking around in the trees either side for ghosts and ghouls. This went on for a bit until we got to the clearing at the top. This is a pretty wide open area covered in gorse with a small clump of very old trees in the middle that have slowly been dying off until there are only 3 or 4 there. Hearing whispers on the wind up there. Telling myself sound travels for miles and it could be anything. Look over to the trees, which are silhouetted against the light pollution of the town below. Swear we can hear singing children or women. Stand around listening before I realize I have no idea where the dogs are. I call them, and the sounds stop. Even seemed as though the wind died. So quiet I could hear my dog panting as she ran toward me. Put them on leads, because I did not want to be searching for them with the children of the corn about. Look back to the trees, and there are more of them. Tell my sisters and they agree. They now want to go over there after almost running back to the car because a leaf rustled. As they start walking, there is a loud scream that seemed to bring back the wind with one strong gust. Rain is now hammering down like leaden hail, and my face is stinging. Sisters already bolted. Running along behind, now trying to grab my other dog, who they abandoned to the screaming banshee. Pick him up, terrier, as I am running at Usain Bolt speeds, weaving my way along the rocky path and jumping over exposed roots like a CGI elf. Hear shrill screaming up ahead. It is my sisters. See them standing by the car trying to rip the door off by the handle. They forgot you needed keys. Shout keys at them and point the torch back down the path. Foggy as hell now, can only see like 20 or 30 feet at most. Now it might have been like this earlier, but I just had not noticed because I was busy not breaking an ankle and being devoured by some demon. Cars open, hurl Xeno in the boot, and jump in after whacking my knee on something. Yelp in pain, and my sisters scream in terror and grab me as though I was being dragged out. Slam the boot shut. Tell them to fuck off already. Proceed to fuck off. Nothing else happened really, just noticed the fog pretty much disappeared after the parking area. It was probably just overexcitable doggers and shit weather, but it spooked me. Sorry, I'm shit at this Greentext malarkey, and I've typed it all out from scratch on my phone.
Camping on a mountaintop with my son and son's cousin. Bad weather. Kids decide to sleep in the truck. Laying in a tent, listening to thunder. The sound of hail on the tent roof like a machine gun. Drifting off to sleep. Hear a buzzing, like a beehive. Grows to a roaring, like a train coming over the mountain. Pitch dark, middle of the night. Suddenly, the tent is flat against my face, trying to suffocate me. Count to 3 and the tent springs up. Suddenly flattens out other direction and again suffocates me. Finally lets up and I drift off to sleep in my broken tent. Next morning. Both tent poles snapped like they had been run over. Get up, walk down the mountain shoulder. Trail of pine trees knocked over in a straight line for 2 miles. Plus, 400-year-old huge trees toppled like toothpicks. Survived a tornado in the Uintas. Never go back.
Not supernatural, but in the woods, Louisiana, home of voodoo, good vampire scene, etc. Walking home with my cousin to his house. Just a side note, for being in the sticks, this moron and his family sure had a nice setup. Huge ass house, pool, satellite, Wi-Fi, like 12 bedrooms, rec room, workshop, library, about half a mile from the main road, half an hour from the closest town, huge land, peaceful. I was super jelly, coming back from hitting the creek, laughing, bullshitting. Suddenly he gets this weird look on his face and goes quiet. I'm not completely Cityfolk either, and I notice the frogs and birds have gone quiet. He opens his backpack and pulls out his knife and a couple road flares. Be prepared. We start stealthily towards the house when all of a sudden he stops and, holy shit. Sitting in the lower branches of a tree off to our left is, I kid you not, a panther. A fucking jet black panther. An honest-to-God, green-eyed, black as the devil's winking Anya panther. It is still light out enough to see his crouching shape almost eating up the color around him. Cousin freezes. I panic and pull the tab on the road flare, screaming like I'm about to get locked in with a gay rapist. Panther sees flare and flinches. Cousin unfreezes, lights his flare and waves it around. Starts yelling some wacky shit in another language. Tells me later it is some challenges and the approximation of some curse words that his Native American buddy had taught him. Just non-profanity insults cause their language does not have cusses. Panther hops down and pulls a skedaddle. We ran back to the house and told our story. His dad gets this look of, damn, not again. Phones the sheriff office for the parish. The sheriff brings out a fire team and searches the area the next day. Tell us they found signs that it was just passing through and that it was gone. Turns out those stories you hear about jungle animals are pretty serious down there.
About 9. Go to a school with woodsy and swampy areas surrounding it. Take a shortcut through the woods at the edge of the soccer field with my friend when we walk home from school each day. Meet up with friend and get started on our walk. A couple steps into the path, everything goes quiet. No birds, no frogs, etc., and cannot hear the kids who are playing in the field turn around. All of the 20-plus kids who are on the playground are not there anymore. We both freak out and start to run. After a few seconds of running, it gets to be this dusky sort of dark, despite it being a sunny day, and the leaves on the trees turn this fluorescent green, way brighter of a color than I have ever seen before or since. Run as fast as we can. As soon as we step out of the woods and into our neighborhood, bam, normal lighting, normal sounds, normal colors. Dismiss the experience as a dream until a few years later, friend brings the incident up when we are chatting about creepy stuff.
Driving around on the logging roads of Maine late at night with some friends looking for wildlife. We pulled up on a truck pulled over on the side of the road. We stopped to see if there was anyone in the car. There wasn't. We took our big flashlights and started shining them in the woods on both sides of the road to see if anyone was there. And there was. At least 5 people total were crouched down in the woods on the other side of the road from their truck, watching us. We've heard stories about hermits robbing people this way, but we totally forgot at the time. We sure won't forget now.
That's the shitty thing, man. It's human nature to see if someone needs help, especially pulled over in a remote area, but it can easily be something sinister. A while back, we were told to keep driving and call the cops if there was a disabled vehicle in northern Ontario for this very reason.
I was driving along pretty much main roads in the White Mountains, New Hampshire, with 2 friends one time at about 3 a.m. We were on our way to Mount Washington because they open the auto road once a month during summer for a sunrise drive that starts around 3:30 a.m. or so. Well, the only other car we saw on the road the whole way was some crazy waving her arm out of her minivan ahead of us, and she stomped on her brakes and stopped in front of us, basically forcing us to stop in the middle of the road in the middle of the night. She got out and walked up to the window and was clearly fake crying, saying, "I am almost out of gas and my friends left me. I do not know where I am. Can you just take a look at my map and show me where I am?" Both my friends wanted to help her, but I just drove around them. And on the way past her van, we saw there were like 5 dudes in it. Fuck that. This was in 2010 and I still remind them of it today.
In these situations, you tell the person to follow you until you find a more populated place. If they don't agree, you tell them to fuck off, unless you have a gun on you. She could have faked running out of gas though, so you did good, Anon.
Not that scary now. I laugh and get bantered about it, but fuck me, I nearly had a heart attack when it happened. End of last year. Go on a fishing trip with Buddy up in rural New South Wales, on the Darling River. The second day, fishing is a bust aside from a few carp. No shade, so sitting in 40 Celsius sun hard all day, still desperately hoping to land a cod. Heat plus a few beers drains my energy by 3 p.m., so I decide to go have a nap in the swag. Wake up an hour later because I can feel something heavy on my legs. I think it is my dumbass mate standing on my dome swag because I have it set up right next to the car for shade. I sit partially up to look through the mesh screen and tell my mate to fuck off. See 1.5 meters long, Goanna looking back at me just chilling, sitting on the lower end of my swag. I think it might panic and run over me. They have huge sharp claws and would tear both the mesh screen and my flesh to shreds if it did. Grab my pillow and hug it to my torso and almost scream for my mate to get up and get the fucking Goanna off me. Goanna got spooked and ran up the tree. Watched him for an hour while he sat on the tree next to us, watching us cook an early dinner, when he crawled around a branch and magically disappeared. Did not bother us for the next 2 days, so must have found a black hole or something, because they fucking cannot resist the smell of food, let alone cooking meat. Always got told to look out for snakes hiding under your swag when packing it up, but not this. I have a rooftop tent now.
Kind of a dumb nothing story. Be halfway through a 40-mile hike with 2 friends, raining off and on, so not many people are out. We are pretty far off into the Alaska countryside, about 20 miles from each trailhead. It was not a loop. In a valley with mountains on both sides, so only 2 ways in and out. Set up a tent 100 yards off the main trail. Fast asleep, 3 a.m. Wake up to friend yelling. "Hello, who is out there?" We both jolt awake, ask him what the fuck, man. He says shh, and calls out again. No reply. Adrenaline starts pumping. Friend says he woke up to a light shining on the tent. Says it was coming from the direction that the trail is. Relax, dude. Probably just some late hiker looking for a sight. Midnight sun and all. No, he says, it was something else. It. He goes on to explain that the thing approached, shining light on the tent the entire time. It went right over the tent without a sound, and then off towards the mountains. It stopped, turned around, and shined light into the other side of the tent for a minute. That is when my friend decided to call out. Kinda spoopy.jpg. My friend finally says, oh well, must have been my imagination, and falls right back asleep. I looked for prints in the morning and didn't see anything. I assume it was a solo hiker looking for a tent site and was too scared to reply. Took me and my other friend a good hour to relax and fall back asleep. A bit long, bear with me. Be freshman year of college, 2005. School is right by the woods with trails for miles. Hear a local legend about some witch who lived in the woods and turned a lumberjack into a tree for rejecting her advances. One night, about 6 of us decide to go and find this tree. Really just an excuse to go drink in the woods. Get pretty deep into the woods after a while. A little buzzed, but mostly chill. Clear, calm night with a full moon and no wind. In this little ravine kind of area with a clear view of the sky, full moon bright can be seen all around. Suddenly it gets mega dark. We can still see the sky and moon, but it is pitch black all around. We can hear this strong wind coming down the ravine from a ways away. After a minute it hits us. Freezing cold wind in the pitch black out of nowhere. We are a little spooked, but weather can change pretty quickly in this area, so we keep trekking. Still freezing wind and pitch black despite the full moon. Suddenly it starts getting hard to walk. All of us are struggling. Feels like trying to walk through molasses, no joke. A few minutes of this and we can barely move. All of a sudden, this overwhelming feeling of sadness comes. We all start crying uncontrollably, sadness beyond comprehension. Bawling our eyes out, cannot stop crying, cannot move anymore. We sit down, crawl into a circle shape. One of the girls with us starts seizing. Out of the blue, she is not epileptic or anything. Still all crying, sitting in a circle, cannot move. There is a tree off to the side that we all seem to be focusing on. Feel a presence inside the tree. Envision it as a small blue light, benevolent, sad, and stuck in the tree. We all manage to focus on this presence, trying to draw it out. In our mind's eyes, we see this blue light emerge from the tree and float into our circle. The presence then shoots up into the sky and is gone. The wind dissipates and the area brightens a little. We stop crying immediately. The girl who was seizing just passes out at this point. We can move again, so we start to get up and try to make sense of what happened. Suddenly cold wind again, blackness again. Feel another presence coming towards us, much larger than the other, angry and evil. We book it running back the way we came. Passed out girl getting carried by her boyfriend. Running as fast as we can. Feel this presence chasing us, gaining on us. We get to this little bridge that marks campus territory and cross it. Presence still coming. We all turn around and focus on it. We each take a piece of ourselves and make like a psychic barrier at the end of the bridge. Feel the presence approach the bridge. Anger unlike anything I have ever felt. It cannot cross the bridge. It leaves. Wind stops. Darkness gone. Girl comes to and does not remember a thing. We return to our dorms, shaken to say the least. To this day, I have no idea what happened. Was it some kind of mass hysteria? Subconscious cues from the myth that manifested via collective delusion? Or did we really free the trapped lumberjack soul, angering the witch in the process and sacrificing pieces of our own souls to stop her?
That's an awesome story. No clue how to explain it. Genuine spookiness, I guess, if true. But how did you guys know to focus and form a psychic barrier just out of the blue?
We just did. We all knew what we had to do without discussing it. I can't explain how or why. It's like when you know someone so well you can have whole conversations with glances and shrugs. Only this was on a whole other level and with people I had barely known for a few months.
B8. staying in a cabin on the outskirts of town. It got cold one night, so I went out to get firewood. The woods up there gave off a very creepy feeling, yet the feeling was warm and inviting in a way. Very mysterious. Young folks can feel such vibrations much stronger than grown folks. One night it was especially dark. Insects were making music, and the moonlight hid behind the clouds that seemed to come out of nowhere. I picked up a great bundle of sticks and started back as I began to feel an overpowering force rise in my gut. The closest feeling I could recall was when a little girl gave me a flower and hugged me tight after I gave her a Christmas present. I listened closely, and I heard a soft, melancholy singing. Barely audible at first, yet seemed to come from all around me, as if the trees were singing. Ooh, ah, oh, ooh, ah, oh. That warmth took over my body. I noticed how the bugs became silent, and the only sound left in the wood was that of the trees swaying softly and the sad, lonesome tune. I returned back to the cabin looking rather flustered. I did not want to talk about what happened, despite my mom asking what was up. She did not believe in that type of stuff either. This family friend looked at me and seemed to know what was up. I quickly forgot what happened, and we spent the rest of the night drinking cider and eating candy apples and laughing. That night, this old family friend came to me before I went to bed and told me the story of the Cherokee who would hold funeral pyres for children who died young by the nearby waterfall and let their ashes free at the waterfall. They believed that their souls were light and pure and joined with the trees and water. When children walked in the woods without the light of the moon to guide them, the young spirits would sing to them to keep them comfortable and guide them back home to safety. I fell asleep and had a wonderful dream. I cannot remember the dream, but I know it changed my life.
I was maybe 12 years old, go camping with my dad and my brother. Dad was speeding on the highway, so we got pulled over. Cop made us wait a couple of hours there, so we were delayed. Ended up arriving at the woods later than planned. Super dark, can barely see in front of us. Shitting my pants with my brother, but my dad was acting cool, so we were not that scared. A couple of kilometers in, we hear a weird growl coming from right in front of us. Sounds like those weird throat-singing videos. Dad slows down the car. A fucking fox walking on its hind legs crosses in front of our truck. I swear to God, he fucking looked at us. It growls, that weird throat growl at us. Keeps walking out of sight. My dad was super quiet for about a minute. Decide to go back. He drives all night to get us back home. Still the scariest shit that has ever happened to me. The worst part was a couple of years later I asked my dad about it, and he told me that it wasn't the first time he saw it. That really freaked me out. I do not remember much, but he said something about going fishing in those same woods when he was younger with his friends. At night, they were telling stories about the Wendigo and forest creatures when they heard growling sounds. He did not think much about it because they were in the woods, could have been any animal. And he saw a fox or coyote or wolf walking on its hind legs towards their camp. One of the girls started screaming and the animal was unfazed and then just kept walking into the woods. He told me he does not remember getting that scared, but when he saw it again all those years later, he had a sense of dread, and he did not want us to camp there that night.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.